What's happening, everybody? I'm Joey Powell. Dewey Burke is here. Tar Heels 79, Pitt 65. Let's get into it. What's happening? I'm Joey Powell for Inside Carolina. Pinch hitting for Tommy Ashley today, who is covering UNC baseball's doubleheader against Indiana. You see what I did there, Dewey? Pinch hitting? Little
I saw
baseball
that.
reference.
Well played.
I appreciate you being here, man. First things first, Tar Heels 79, Pitt 65. The obvious news right prior to tip off was that Henri Veesaar wasn't going to play. We knew as of yesterday that Caleb Wilson was going to be out for some time with a broken hand. Dewey, whenever you have that sort of adversity that close to a tip, especially in North Carolina's case where it's that much of your offensive production, how does the coaching staff usually handle that? And what is the team's response? And then we'll get into what happened today against Pitt.
Sure. Curveball, certainly. It's next man up. Obviously, we don't have a ton of depth in the front court. So I think for all of us, including you and I, and our text as the game was getting going, we're a little bit concerned about even against a lesser opponent that we might struggle, to get the ball inside, struggle on the backboard. But you got to give the kids credit. Zayden High stepped up. Stevenson played really well. I thought we looked really connected. We played together. We were scrappy. And so you just hope that whoever was not planning on playing the type of minutes. I mean, look, I think Zayden would have expected to be playing a lot today anyway because Caleb was out. But then all of a sudden, Veesaar, it's a different deal. So we were small and undersized, but we fought. And I thought, as poor as Pitt played, and I think they stink. I thought our guys still rose to the challenge of what our situation was, which is we're missing our two best players, our two bigs. We're so much smaller than typical. We lost the rebounding battle, which you never like to see. But other than that, I thought we played really well and certainly stretched it to where it was a comfortable lead. And both Zayden and Stevenson played really well.
Yeah, I love that you pointed out that rebounding situation because North Carolina has not rebounded well in a handful of games this year. So that they did not out rebound Pitt without their two best rebounders isn't shocking. But the fact that they did get some rebounding from different spots in the lineup,
That's right.
especially after the guards were so bad against Miami on the glass, 7 rebounds from Zayden High, 7 from Derek Dixon, and then 3 from Stevenson, Trimble, and Jaden Young. You like to see that sort of rebounding from your backcourt. I think the biggest thing I would ask Dewey is when you see guys step up like they did today. You know, Trimble had a lot of volume in his shots, but Luka Bogavac, Seth Trimble, and Jarin Stevenson all getting 15 or more, and then also Zayden High getting 15. What's the biggest thing that impressed you out of those guys stepping up when the lights got a little bright and they got their opportunity?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. I think this is the Stevenson we hoped and thought we were getting, and he's so capable. I love if we're fortunate enough to have Caleb come back, and obviously Veesaar seems like he'll be back soon. But if we ever get back to full strength, I'd love to see us figure out how to get this version of Stevenson more consistently because he's got such a high ceiling, but he's disappeared a lot on the offensive end this year and hasn't been this version consistently. Everybody's going to say High was the surprise, and I agree. Thought he was into it. He was active and aggressive. He finished around the rim, made a couple 4, 5, 8 footers that were nice to see go in. Again, we can't discount that Pitt is an inferior team. They're not good. They don't seem to be together or connected. And I'm not going to say that they're poorly coached, but whatever the product is out there, it's not very good. So
Yeah.
we have to say that the opponent had something to do with it for sure. But yeah, look, again, like I said at the top, I thought the starters and Powell even as well coming off, I thought they played well for what we had and what probably everybody's expectations were when Veesaar wasn't going to be out there without also Caleb. I thought we played great.
Yeah, I think the thing a lot of folks have been really down on Zayden High this year, and he has been not good in some instances, but I think the expectations for what he's going to give have just been a little bit, pardon the pun, a little bit too high for him and what his talent level is at this moment. But when you see him get 15 points and 7 rebounds today in 30 minutes, especially knowing what they were lacking without Veesaar and Wilson, you have to take that and run. He's not going to be as the best lateral moving defender. He's not going to be anywhere as athletic as Caleb Wilson is. But you've got to appreciate what he brings you. And I saw him also today staying connected on defense, which, as you mentioned earlier, has been a struggle for this team at times this year, even when Veesaar and Wilson have been healthy. How do you explain when you have a guy like that who gets his number called, just before tip off? Hubert's always said, I can't tell you when you're going to get called, but your number's going to get called. How do you explain the mindset of a guy like that who jumps in today and seemingly did what his team needed him to do?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think he would have expected to be playing definitely more with Caleb out, and then that was only enhanced by Veesaar being out. But he probably also had the chance to get comfortable and get some rhythm and
Mm,
get into the flow of the game, playing as many minutes. Where I think the announcer said he's been averaging 5 minutes and has played even less than that on multiple occasions. So there is something to that, something to rhythm, to knowing that you're not looking over your shoulder waiting for the All American to come get you, and you're just going to be playing significant minutes and settled in. And that's probably something of what happened today, right? Mentally, he knew he was going to play a bunch and he could settle in and not feel nervous. I can speak to you as somebody that when you get thrust into a game and you've got 2 or 3 minutes, it's a little nerve wracking
sure.
to try to make an impact, to try to do as you've been coached, but then also play hard and remember your principles and make intelligent play. Like it's a lot, and if you don't settle in, all of a sudden you're back on the bench. It's a little bit like what just happened. I played terrible, and I'm not even really sure why. And so I think you got to settle in.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I mean, Randolph Childress mentioned it on the broadcast a couple of times, and some folks in the chat, of the 400 and some odd of you who are here, thank you, mentioned that there's something to be said when guys can go out there and play free. Are you concerned at all when you see a guy like Seth Trimble, who again got 19 points today and was MIA in Miami, having 0 field goals? Are you concerned at all when he's still missing shots at the volume that he's missing, especially when he gets to take more of them? Does that bother you at all?
I mean, he missed 2 layups he should never miss, maybe even three. You could argue there was a little kind of up and under that he should have made.
Hmm.
I thought he should have shot it with the left, but yeah, he missed 2 or 3 layups that he otherwise normally would make. But no, I'm not worried about that. Shot well from the free throw line. He attacked the rim, and I know he missed both the threes that he took. But I like him getting downhill and um, creating shots for others as well. I know he didn't have any assists, but I thought he was attacking the paint consistently and just creating a little bit of havoc on the offensive end, which was great. So, no, I don't worry about missed layups. They make you scratch your head when they happen, but. I was pleased to see how often he went to the rim, given that we didn't have our bigs, who are typically how we get the ball in the paint. So it was good to see him attacking, and hopefully those go down, especially on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was mentioned during the game too that Derek Dixon, also coming off of I mean, the whole backcourt was just not good at Miami, with the exception of Kyan Evans in his backup minutes. But Derek Dixon did not have a great offensive night in Miami, but he comes back today. Doesn't shoot well, but gets you 3 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and only one foul and one turnover. Do you feel like he's becoming a little steadier, even if his offense is not coming along?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, he's a freshman. He's playing like a freshman. I thought he probably could have attacked a little bit more, as somebody just said in the chat, and maybe looked for his shot a little bit. He's got that step back three that he's made pretty consistently. So, but he's still trying to figure it out. But listen, I'm a proponent of his, as everybody knows who listens to this medium. I think that he's just going to keep getting better. But he is a freshman, and he's going to have nights like Miami again this year. But I think he is the kind of guy, as he continues to evolve, that can be I know he didn't score it today, but he can get you 10, 7, and 7. He's got size. He moves the ball well. I think he's got a task in front of him this summer to get quicker and to get in, elite shape so that he can play the kind of minutes I would expect him to play next year, but also be a little bit more agile, more ready to play at this level physically. I think mentally he's there. I think he knows how to play. He's crafty. He's not
Mhm.
scared. But I think there's some physical stuff for him to get in the gym with Jonas and figure out this offseason, which will be impactful.
I do like the fact that he never really seems rattled. He seems very even keel, very steady, and you want that from a point guard, and that's something you really can't teach a guy that's a freshman playing point guard at UNC.
No,
Um,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you know me. I'm in on him.
what's something else that you feel like, aside from just getting a win when you're missing your two bigs in a post dominated offense? What's your biggest takeaway on the positive side from today's game?
Yeah, just confidence for a group of guys that haven't played a lot of minutes together. We haven't mentioned Luka, but he got us off to a good start tonight. I know he only shot 6 for 15, but an offensive weapon when he's looking for his shot, and we need him to make open ones for sure. And so just confidence. That's the big thing for me, because the Miami game obviously was not a confidence builder, and I know Miami's pretty good, and it was at their place, and we were coming off the Duke game. I understand all those things, but you got a chance to put the jersey on. You got to play better than we played. And so I think this is a confidence builder because of who our personnel was. And let's see how we can do over in Raleigh.
When you mentioned Pittsburgh earlier, and again, I'm going to steal one of Roy Williams's adages here, that North Carolina is more gifted than Pittsburgh, even without the two players North Carolina had today. But they still had to play the game. They still had to show up and have a little bit of moxie about them. They still had to put Tuesday's game in the rear view and come out, and the guys that got minutes today had to play. When you're thinking about how to carry that forward, is there something that the coaching staff can say to maybe get that to instill upon the guys, or do you think that it's got to be each guy looking at himself saying, okay, regardless of who shows up Tuesday, it's going to be a dogfight, and I've got to bring it?
Yeah. The state game is a version of what it feels like to play Duke, right? It's one of
Mhm.
those throw the rankings out, uh, whoever we have in the foxhole, like let's effing go. And so again, I think the guys who are going to play more minutes over there, we don't know what's up with Veesaar. Hopefully he can play, but the guys who are going to play minutes that maybe haven't, and the rotation and who's out there together as a five that maybe hasn't been, hostile environment. And let's figure out how tough the group, whatever group we have, let's figure out how tough they are. That's what I think this is about on Tuesday. We're not going to get calls. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be hard to make shots, all the things. But listen, since I've been around, and certainly while Coach Williams was at the helm, we had a ton of awesome wins over there. And so why not go get another one? And look, that's what I think. Whoever it is, how tough are we? Let's go over there and find a way.
Yeah, you'd like to see North Carolina continue the fast break points. They had 16 to Pittsburgh's 4 today. A lot of that is because Pittsburgh's offense was just hot garbage, and North Carolina looked to turn that over. I think they'll have some chances against NC State to do the same thing. Dewey, last question for you. We're talking with Dewey Burke here on the post game. Carolina beats Pittsburgh, even without their two starting big men, 79-65. Looking at the end of the game, and it wasn't that Hubert Davis went to Blue Steel or anything like that. North Carolina finished on one of their kind of what has become commonplace this year,
Yeah.
on a 4:15 or 4 minute and 15 second field goal drought. At what point do you feel like that's just kind of the DNA of these guys, and is that something that that they're going to be able to shake off the rest of the season, or is it just, hey, know they're coming and try to brace for it?
It's frustrating, right? Because everybody knows these Ken Palm metrics and all the things you're supposed to be paying attention to. Win that. Why not win that game by 28 or
Yeah.
30, and impress the folks that put those things together without our two best guys? But to your point, the step on the throat mentality has not proven to be something that this team has given us, unfortunately, and I don't really know what to say about that. It's there's no excuse for losing focus. If you're just missing shots, that's one thing, but you shouldn't let up. Some people say, "Oh, it's human nature. You're up 20 with 3 minutes to go." But yeah, but you can't do that anymore in
Yeah.
the way that they they rank or score these games. And the biggest thing that you worry about is when does it ultimately come back to bite you and you lose one. And so, look, I don't have a lot of expectation that Tuesday is a game we're up like 20-25 and then it bleeds away and we get concerned. I think that's going to be a tight game and something we're going to have to fight every possession for. But look, you're right. It's interesting that we still did it even with, so in other words, we did it with Caleb and
Right.
Veesaar, our best players, and then we do it without them. And so to your DNA question, I don't know what that's about. And I know people love to blame the coaching staff and everything, but I made this point the other day about the Duke game when we talked about Veesaar, who didn't have a great first half, and then he played great in the second half. He was more physical, he's more aggressive. I promise you, Hubert didn't coach him any differently in the first half versus the second in terms of
Right.
that individual player. And so when I think about this game, what would he have changed? Why would he have said in the huddle at like 6.5 minutes, "Oh, we're up 20. Let's do different things."
Yeah.
I just don't think that happens. I didn't play for him. I can't say that for certain, but I just don't there's no logic behind that for me.
Yeah.
And so part of it is the players. I understand that you could say, well, the coach is the one who sets the mentality. But if you set the mentality to get us up 20, what mentality then says, "Oh, let's let off the gas"? I just don't see that. I just, it's just a weird thing that they've done now consistently enough that kind of you scratch your head and you just hope it doesn't bite us late.
Yeah, for sure. Well, North Carolina does a lot of things right today in the face of some really, really big, pardon the pun, adversity with Veesaar and Wilson being out. Again, it's nice to see other guys stepping up when they got some shine. We're very grateful for all of the 500 folks that joined us today in the post game. Again, Tommy Ashley's at Boshamer. You'll hear from him a little bit more soon. But do you have any parting shots you want to share getting out of here? Again, big time win when this could have been really, really bad.
Go to Hell State.
Hey, man, that feels like a great way to wrap it. All right, for everybody who's joining us in the chat today, for Tommy Ashley, I'm Joey Powell. Make sure you guys check out Johnny T-Shirt, sponsors of this here show and sponsors of all of Inside Carolina's content. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get myself, Sherelle McMillan, and Sean Moran on tomorrow night's Coast to Coast podcast. We'll talk about this past week and look forward to what's going to be a big week on the road for the Tar Heels. But until next time, big win for the Tar Heels today at home, undermanned against Pittsburgh, 79-65. Dewey, appreciate you joining me, man. Everybody else, we'll talk to you very, very soon.
Thank you.